Good evening, Sagittarius. This is your 2020 forecast. I just want to remind you again that I'm going to be using this Lenormand deck for this 2020 forecast and for the zodiac of Sagittarius. And I'm also going to be using this tarot deck to clarify for some more information. And then at the very end, I'm going to be using this oracle deck and this dice to get one last piece of advice or information for you for the year of 2020. So let's get started. So for those of you who don't know about Lenormand, it actually originated in France in Napoleonic times. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's quite as popular in the US as it is in France and Germany, or just in different parts of Europe, I believe. Okay, so let's get started. What do we have coming for zodiac of Sagittarius in the year of 2020? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out all the cards and I'll show you the ones that pop out to me on an intuitive level that seem important in some way. Alright, so lay them all out. See where our horse, centaur people are headed in the year of 2020. Okay, so I see that in the beginning of the year, there's definitely a reconnecting with your roots, as indicated by this tree. Maybe I think this started in 2019 and probably kind of bled into 2020 or the beginning of 2020. You are reconnecting with your roots, I see here, Sagittarius, which is really strange because Sagittarians are usually so wild and free and you're all about being a bit nomadic, but I hear that maybe there's an emphasis at the beginning of 2020 to sort of connect with your roots or put down some kind of roots, whether it comes to new associations, networking, growing your sort of network of people maybe. I see that. So yeah, I'm going to be kind of getting in tune with that part of yourself. And then here there's a ring. So I think that this may actually, yes, the tree may have to do with your professional network, because I see here some kind of promise or some kind of agreement or some kind of binding agreement happening like on a professional level, I think, as represented by this tower. So at the very beginning of 2020, I see this beacon of accomplishment. You're going to accomplish something in the beginning of 2020, Sagittarius, and that's going to lead to a need to so this is a book, so learn something new, whether it be honing new skills, learning new skills, upgrading your skills possibly. With success, I guess, comes the responsibility. So with this beacon representing success, it comes with this responsibility of learning new skills and taking on new responsibilities. So I really do think that at the beginning of 2020, as represented by this tree, I think you are growing your network maybe professionally. I think that's what I see here. It's going towards a professional sort of, but I see here that as you develop your skills or learn something new, as indicated by this book, you're going to really be getting in touch with yourself. I think you're going to learn a lot about yourself by going through this self-study, learning, honing your new skills phase. You're going to be really getting in touch with yourself on a personal level, Sagittarius. You're going to find things out about yourself in the beginning of 2020, the beginning quarter, going into, I think, March, maybe even April. You're going to be learning a lot about yourself. So somewhere in the middle-ish of the year, or maybe even like in March or like April-ish, I would think maybe like around like going in April, there's going to be some travel. And I really do think that's kind of, you know, an overreaching thing here is professional success, professional growth, like as indicated here by the beacon, and then new responsibilities and needing to hone new skills, learn new skills. So you're going to be traveling probably around like April-ish, May even, professionally. I think this is going to be business travel, and that as represented by the fish. So this is a triple whammy of some kind of like business venture, like traveling, like learning new things. This fish card represents prosperity, and then this one represents commerce, obviously. So you're gonna have new business, maybe new business contacts, maybe some new side projects, maybe you're gonna be leading a new project. I'm getting a lot of really great card professionally here. Here I'm seeing a character card looking in that direction. So in the middle of 2020, Sagittarius, you are headed towards ultimate prosperity as represented by this garden card. This is a card that represents ultimate prosperity, whether it be professional or what have you, but I'm really getting a lot of career vibes here in this reading, Sagittarius. But I also see here, so there's a woman here. So once again, this is a general genderless reading. So the character cards, I don't really see them as having genders. I just kind of use them as a general guide for that reason. So I'm seeing a woman here, some feminine energy, but it could be a man, because this is a genderless reading. Even though they're headed in the direction of this ultimate prosperity as represented by this garden card, they're still kind of looking back in the past, in the middle of 2020 for some reason. They're looking back, I think this could indicate self-doubt, if anything. That's what I'm kind of getting intuitively. Even if you're traveling around like April, maybe even like May, or even towards the middle of the year, traveling, and then there's like, as indicated by this ship card, there's traveling, you're learning new things. This is the ultimate prosperity card when it comes to finance related things. And then obviously new side projects, new side hustle, commerce, business. You're going to be thriving professionally, Sagittarius. But I also see, once again, this person who's looking back, self-doubt. Even if you're leading to, once again, your life is leading to, your career is leading to ultimate prosperity, I think maybe this could maybe indicate imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, Sagittarius, but imposter syndrome, when you're very successful and you're very skilled, but you have maybe like an insecurity problem, and maybe people around you feel like I'm different from them, or maybe just something that could have been rooted in childhood. Like, you just always have that feeling that pops up, this imposter. You feel like an imposter, basically, in situations where you really shouldn't, where you should be commending yourself for your achievements, Sagittarius. So once again, this is somebody looking back, even at their achievements, thinking, did I deserve that? Like, is she looking back into the past instead of looking forward into prosperity? This person is thinking, did I deserve these side projects? Did I deserve to travel for business? Did I deserve this amazing prosperity? Like, maybe there is some self-doubt there. Well, this reading is telling you, in the middle of going into the middle of 2020, don't fall into that self-doubt. And if you do, it's going to lead to some hardship. So really try to prevent that. And I'll clarify for you a little bit more with the tarot later on that. But so I see here that this prosperity is not going to come easy. Like, once again, with more power and more skills comes, so with more power, more prosperity, and more skills, you're in a more grand, powerful place. There comes more obstacles and more skills to be learned, and more responsibility as represented by this mountain, because once again, it's no easy task to climb a mountain. So that's going to be the case. And then we see this person here in a really professional suit, young professional, some masculine energy here, a go-getter. Possibly this represents an alpha person, or someone in that state of mind. So I'm really getting that this person is kind of looking back, once again, that imposter syndrome, like in the last quarter of 2020, in September, October. I think maybe they are looking back at maybe that imposter syndrome again. So this is kind of a struggle I'm seeing here, but the great thing here I see is that you're really going to be tackling this imposter syndrome, maybe even on a subconscious level. You may not even realize, and you're gonna have to cut that off. See this scythe here? It's gonna be a little cut though. I mean, this is not a coffin card, so obviously it's a small transition, so it's not gonna be anything really, really difficult. This is a small cut, small transition, as you, I think, maybe conquer that imposter syndrome I'm seeing here with this spread that's popping up in the middle after that. These amazing achievements, one after the other, I'm getting imposter syndrome. Maybe it could even be that other people around you may not be, I don't know. I'm not saying that you have toxic people around you or maybe people who doubt you in any way, but if there are, you should really recognize that and probably try to either block that out or maybe just connect with yourself spiritually. There's a lot of ways you can do that, Sagittarius. But I think with you guys, Sagittarians, you really tend to connect with nature and physical activity and maybe even sports or traveling. I know Sagittarians love to travel, so if you ever feel like I'm stuck, I need some new inspiration, I feel like I don't deserve all this success, or maybe even guilt or shame because you're doing so well, and you don't feel like you deserve it for whatever reason that is, maybe you can travel, go experience nature, play some sports, go do something that is basically a breath of fresh air for you, because I know that's really important for Sagittarians, for you centaurs out there. So it's gonna definitely be some hard work on this imposter syndrome, but I see here that you are going to choose to conquer it, and it may take some work, some self-care. I see here some self-care, and then at the end of 2020 we have the home card. So this is a good card. It's kind of like getting in touch with yourself, I think, coming back home, basically, like that part of yourself I'm getting here that you feel, Sagittarius, is like an essential part of you that feels like home inside of yourself. You're going to come back to that at the very end of 2020, and that's going to help you deal with this imposter syndrome that you're going through in the middle and then sort of the end, where you almost feel like you don't deserve all these great things that are happening to you for whatever reason that may be, but you really got to figure that out. Okay, so I just want to like clarify about the imposter syndrome thing. I mean, that seems like it's been popping up periodically, so I just want to clarify for you how you're going to end up conquering that. And I really want to pull, actually I want to pull a few cards on just that, because that's really the only worrisome thing, like, because I see lots of career success, lots of great opportunities, prosperity, travel, new creative projects, opportunity, new business contacts, expanding your network professionally. Things all look great in your career, the department of the world of your career, Sagittarians. But I really want to clarify about this sort of personal issue of imposter syndrome, which is the vibe that I'm getting. I think maybe with centaurs, being half human, I mean, just in mythology, maybe you sometimes don't feel like that part of yourself that isn't human. Like maybe you feel like you don't fit in with the humans. I mean, because you are, you know, because all the other zodiacs, I think the majority of them are, you know, either animals like Pisces, they're fish, or Scorpios or scorpions. But with Sagittarius, you're half man and half kind of like a horse-like creature, centaur. So that could be, I don't know. I mean, that's just me getting some vibes here, where you always felt a little different maybe growing up for whatever reason that may be. And that may be causing the imposter syndrome. Okay, so let me just, without further ado, I'm gonna just pick some cards here to get some insight for you in how to conquer that imposter syndrome, Sagittarius. Okay, so I'm getting here the Three of Swords. Okay, so let me just face it towards you. So we have the Three of Swords, the King of Rods, and then the Six of Rods. You can see, so we have the Three of Swords, the King of Rods, and then the Six of Rods here. So I'm actually going to look up the meaning, because I'm not really sure what this means within the context of this particular deck. So let me just look up this meaning really quickly. Let me just lay this out so you can see it. Let me start with the Three of Swords here. See what this means for you, Sagittarians. 1 minute, bear with me. Okay, so here we have Three swords in the heart, warn of heartbreak, adultery, infidelity. You need to communicate with a loved one. Be sure to take care of health matters. So I'm guessing that this has something to do with maybe the root of your feelings of maybe feeling self-doubt, imposter syndrome. Could be maybe some form of betrayal that you've felt in the past. Not necessarily infidelity or anything, but If it's career related, maybe you relied on somebody in the past in your workplace, and you felt a little betrayed by them, you felt a little let down, I think is probably more realistic. And that made you feel insecure, or maybe like, I can't really trust people at work, or I can't really trust other people to make assessments about me when it comes to the things that I've achieved. There's just some shaky, I think, trust is what I'm getting. Some shaky trust in the workplace that may be the origin of this imposter syndrome here for you guys, Sagittarius. So I am going to be looking up the King of Rods next. Okay, so the King of Rods is depicted with the lion rampant at his back. He has the strength to back up his ideas and vision. The self-starter can rarely sit still. Honest and dependable, a natural leader and man of action. So there you go, Sagittarius. So this is whatever betrayal, letdown that you experienced in the past in a work setting, or maybe even in your childhood, whatever that may be that made you doubt your abilities in any way, push that aside, ride past that as the centaur that you are with those hooves, and become this entity that's represented by the King of Rods, because this is who you were meant to be. That imposter syndrome, conquer that. And so let me read it again to you. The King of Rods is depicted with a lion rampant at his back. He has the strength to back up his ideas and vision. This self-starter can rarely sit still. Honest and dependable, a natural leader and man of action. So just remember those words, Sagittarius. When you're ever feeling a bit of self-doubt, whatever it may be, remember those words. Six of Swords, okay. So let's see what we have with the Six of Swords and advice on how to deal with this imposter syndrome and insecurity. Okay, so Six of Swords. A strong man transports swords in a boat. Someone is going to cut you some slack soon. Relief will come after a struggle. You may be taking a sea voyage. So I think this is saying that even if it's really difficult with, once again, this letdown that you had in the past that may have fed into some insecurity, imposter syndrome, remember who you are, Sagittarius. You are strong. You're a centaur. Ignore that don't ignore the imposter syndrome, but get in tune with why you feel that way, and you can conquer through it. And this is a card of relief. This one right here, the Six of Swords, it's saying that somebody's gonna come and help you. Like, don't feel like you always have to go it alone. I mean, maybe you have a team or somebody, like a mentor that you rely on, and this is kind of the sign of help, aid coming, kind of in the throes of battle where you feel like, oh my God, is this ever going to end? We're on the losing side. Well, your ally, whoever that ally might be, your backup is going to send in all these extra weapons, and you are going to benefit from that. So reach out to your allies, reach out to maybe team members who you feel like you can get some insight from. If you are struggling with that imposter syndrome, ask them, you know, what do you think? Is there anything I can improve? Maybe feedback, just whatever it may be. Reach out to your allies, your professional network out there, because they are going to send relief in the midst of that war, that inner war you're going through with that imposter syndrome that's originating from whatever that letdown was in the past, your childhood, whatever it may be. Conquer through it, and I think that this is going to end on a positive note. I'm just intuitively getting that feeling. Okay, so last but not least, I'm going to roll this dice, try to get a number, and then pick from the oracle cards based on the number to try to give you one last piece of advice going into 2020. So what do we have for Sagittarius? One last piece of advice, oracle cards. What do we have for Sagittarius? So we have the number 4 here. So that may be significant, Sagittarius, in some way going into 2020. So just keep that in mind, the number 4. I'm going to shuffle these oracle cards. So what do we have for Sagittarius? What do we have for Sagittarius going into the year of 2020? What do we have for Sagittarius going into the year of 2020? What do we have for Sagittarius going into the year of 2020? Okay, so I'm going to pick the 4th card. 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th one. A change in the wind. So as you can see in this card, we've got a zebra carrying a burden on its back. Kind of reminds me of a Sagittarius, just looking at it, holding a burden. And guess what that burden is, like we've been discussing so far, is that imposter syndrome, that self-doubt. Even after all that success, prosperity, traveling, expanding your business network, even after all that success, with the launching of your creative projects, whatever they may be, there's a zebra carrying a burden on its back. So I think this is really what it's saying, though. It's a positive card because it says change in the wind. So if you've been a Sagittarius carrying this burden on your back, just this insecurity throughout your life, there's going to be a change in the wind, and as indicated by the previous tarot cards that I just showed you, it's probably going to end on a positive note. But just keep this in mind anytime you're feeling like any form of self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and I really do recommend maybe like Googling imposter syndrome and seeing what that's about. Just remember this card. There's no need to be this way. Just drop the burden. Nothing's going to happen if you drop it. It may take time to learn to let go of that burden, whatever it may be, holding on to your childhood or some memories in the past where you felt let down or incompetent in some way. You can let that go, Sagittarius. I think you know it, I know it, and then the cards are saying that you can, so you can do it. So I hope this was helpful. Click like, comment, subscribe, and share if this resonated with you. And once again, I do recommend looking up imposter syndrome, or anything similarly related in that way. Some information that could probably guide and help you. And so I hope this was helpful, Sagittarius, and I'll see you later.